George Masvidal is not appearing thirsty and he's not desperate. He is hedging on both. He's hedging on it. There was a statement made by Masvidal's manager, one of the Kawa brothers. And they said, I believe it was Malky specifically, said George will do anything as long as it puts him on a path back for the championship. Malky didn't further that thought, but I loved it. I saw it and I loved it. Thought, okay, George is still hungry. He's still that same guy as a grown man right now with a huge star and the BMF champion and the long hair and appearing on pro wrestling and got his hand in a couple of other ventures right now. But he's still that hungry kid from the backyard lying about his age so that he could get into a competition. All right. But then Masvidal came out and said he wants to fight the Paul brothers and he wants to fight Nick Diaz. Now, the Paul brothers and Nick Diaz do not do anything to get you closer to the championship, so these two statements do not go hand in hand. I still don't have a problem with either. If Malky's right, and whatever's next has to be a step closer to returning to title form, or if Masvidal's right and he wants to go out and play this very unique card that he has and just do fun and interesting things. We don't get to have enough fun things in this sport, specifically the UFC. We don't. Not fun. Interesting, yes. Compelling, yes. Meaningful. This means you do this. This is a meaningful match that will get you here. Yeah, for sure. Fun? Not that often. It's just not what we do here. Dana's just a very set philosophy that this is about showing who, showcasing and identifying, and then recognizing who the best is. And if it's not you, where do you fall in that order? Very big on that, so you don't get, there's not a lot of room for the word fun. What Conor McGregor does and gets to do is fun. It's fun. And the sport is more fun when George Masvidal's around. It's more fun when you're creating championships, by the way, for a guy. And it doesn't just go to George. Nate Diaz that night, when George goes on to be this huge star, but Nate was the A side. But Nate is another guy who whatever he pulls out of his sleeve and throws on the table is going to be massive. There isn't a fourth guy. There's those three. And it used to only be one. It used to only be Conor. Conor revolutionized things in some way in that he could do whatever he wanted to do and not get it wrong. Anywhere he goes, however this way, that way, title fight, main event, over here, this country, that, it was going to work. But it was only Conor. And that got extended to Masvidal. That BMF is the most life-changing single sports experience, not only for Masvidal, but that I have witnessed. It was a magical evening, crowned off by the first ever induction of the BMF. I mean, it was really meaningful. And to not relive that and not bring that back, I don't agree with that. That's a different conversation. I won't digress. Speak about George specifically because I'm speaking about George specifically for one reason, which is I would not advise anybody else to do what he's doing. To have a mixed message between your manager and yourself, I would not advise. I tell you, get organized, huddle up, come out in one direction. To be calling out multiple guys at the same time in two different sports, if anyone else did that, they would look like a fool. It just works with Masvidal. He can do some stuff. He can word things. He can frame things. He can present things in a way that if anybody else did it where they would look thirsty, he doesn't. He does it to me. It's a sport's second biggest star. Still is. I forget all the time that he lost his last fight. All the time. I got to remind myself. I forget he lost the one before that too. All the time. I got to remind myself. He's a massive star. He's very interesting. What is he going to do next? And I think between the two, and I loved what Malky had to say. I looked at George in a different way and I thought, man, that's cool. You're not always going to have that. You're not always going to have that hunger, but if you've still got it all these years later and the way that your life and image has changed and you still feel that, man, that's a cool thing. Got no problem with what George is saying. I'm going to go out and do fun things. They're going to be huge. I'm going to bring the audience along. I'm going to continue to tell a story. I'm going to make that walk. I'm going to do all of the fun stuff prior to that. It's a unique hand. And I believe of the two, this is the one that I would play if I was in that position. I for sure would have gone this road, but George did. How much longer is he on it? Malky says he's still there. I don't disagree. Malky says he's still there. George is saying he's over here in the fun category. And the only reason I would point to the fun, it's unique in that he's one of three guys that can go and have it. Conor, Nate Diaz, George, whatever they do next, any direction you want to go. Close your eyes, throw a dart at the board, whoever's name it comes on, whatever weight class and whatever rule set, by the way. Those guys could spill over to boxing. That isn't going to happen. I'm sharing the fact that they could, and it would be meaningful. So I would not encourage you to do what George is doing. Do not look at him, think if it worked for Masvidal, it would work for me. It's unique what he's doing, but that's the entire conversation. He's one of three people alive that just right now, he can't miss.